So then I quit my job last summer, so summer of 2021, and it was a little bit of it was a big leap of faith, because I wasn't quite making like as much money as I needed to. Thankfully, my wife has a good paying job, so that definitely helped. But I had saved up some money to kind of get me through that gap of like, all right, I'm not going to be making enough, that much money these next few months. And then I hit my first $10,000 month, like I said, this past summer. So that was the leap of faith paid off.
When you quit, percentage wise or like number of months, how much did you save up? How much runway did you have? And you don't have to say the specific amount, but just how many months perhaps?
So I had like $25,000 saved up.
Okay.
So it wasn't that much, but but it also wasn't nothing. So it was a couple months. Then I started paying myself like from that nest egg. I started paying myself a couple $1,000s a month. So and also it wasn't that much, but it was something, probably a little less than half of what my job was paying me.
Okay. Got it.
So between like the nest egg and my wife's job and me paying myself half, we made it.
Right.
It wasn't very comfortable. She wasn't the most excited about me getting a 50% pay cut, but here we are.
Right. And then at the time that you quit, do you happen to remember ballpark like what your monthly revenue from the niche site was?
Like I was very happy with a $4,000 month. Like
Okay.
all of 2021, if I made 4,000, I was pumped. I think in November, December, I made like 6,000, but for the most part, I was doing 3.5 to 4.5 thousand.
Okay. Cool. Which is awesome. I mean, from a valuation standpoint, you're probably at something like 150 to 200,000 or something if you were to sell the site, even though like, you're getting less per month than your old job. It must have been nice when you were doubling up.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, and you were able to save the money. So that's cool. And then did you have any benchmarks where you were like, I need to make X amount in X amount of time, or I need to figure out something else to do, or like get the job again? Or did you have kind of a delineation mark or anything?
A little bit. I quit. I put my it turned out to be like a month long notice in like beginning of July. So my last day was like July 31st. And I told myself, all right, by the end of the month, or the end of the year, so I'll have 6 months, I need to be making at least as much as I was, at my job. So I gave myself 6 months to, go from making half of what I was making at my job to making, what I was making at my job.
Got it.
And I hit it, but I was still not paying myself like that much. We were doing, okay, like, family income. We weren't balling out, but we were getting by. And I don't know. I just always kind of wanted that little like nest egg to be sitting there in the business, in case something bad happened, or, in case I wanted to launch a product or something. I wanted, a couple $1,000s saved up there so that I can make that move. So, thankfully, it's crazy how it worked out. My wife got a new job like 2 months after I quit, and she got a raise that was pretty much equal to like the pay cut that I got. So like our household income was just the same, even though
Awesome.
She's making more and I'm like making half.
Got it. That's good. You married well. Nice job.
Yes. She's amazing. I'm very thankful for her.
So crazy thing. My last day at my last job, it was July 21st, 2015. Or not 21st, 31st, 2015, because they lay you off at the end of the month typically. So that was my last day, and
You got laid off?
I did. I got laid off.
Wow.
And yeah, there's a longer story, but it turned out to be absolutely fine. In a similar way, I was like, oh, this is my chance. My income wasn't as high as yours was at the time that I got laid off, and I didn't set up the specific deadline like that. But it took a few months to get things in place. But roughly like the same time, I was actually telling someone recently, like, after I think like a couple months, I was making like enough, like close to replacement income, but not quite. And then after 6 months, it was like safely there, and I felt like a lot more confident. It's really quick. But the thing is, like, you were doing it for a couple years at the time that you quit, and I was working on my sides and other side ventures for a couple years also. So really like 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think 2.5. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you
Perfect.
want to quit? Or like, did you?
Technically a little bit, but it was a good job that I had a lot of autonomy with really good benefits. So I probably would not have quit, because I was talking to my wife the other day, like, it's the kind of situation where it needs to be a lot better or a lot worse. It was in a comfortable, complacent area where it was like, I can handle the bullshit and it's not that great, and I'm not going to get promoted for like, if I could possibly make it to like a director level, it would have been another 5 or 7 years. And it was just, draining. So it wasn't bad enough and it wasn't good enough, but it was just the worst place you could be to like select inaction. So I wouldn't have quit. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to quit for like a year, maybe a year and a half. So it's interesting that you were forced to take the leap, and it took me a long time to take the leap.
Right. Well, one thing I did, and I've been thinking about how to frame this exactly, but here's like this sort of the light version of it. But there's like the quiet quitting movement that you probably heard a little bit about.
Yeah.
So I've just seen some headlines, but I'm like lightly familiar. And I am pretty sure I was doing this for, several years, maybe like 2007 until I got laid off or so, maybe even 2006. But one thing that I did, I had a lot of friends in the military that I would hang out with, or they were out of the military, but they had the background. So I was like, I have this team. I had like 10 people reporting to me. I basically delegated everything that I could possibly delegate to the team. And it sounds super lazy, but it actually helps the team, because then they can get promoted. They can say, I'm performing outside of my role, all the things that I know that they actually needed to do. But most people, like most managers, don't want to give up the control, because then you can get laid off. But I didn't give a shit. So I delegated everything except like, I had to lead certain meetings or decisions had to be made. So of course I would do those things, but everything else I got rid of. And of course, the problem with that is like, they're thinking, what do we need you for? Like, your team is doing everything. Like, you can go on vacation for a long time. And I'm like, yeah, and everything went fine, right? But anyway, that's why I got laid off, I think.
That's hilarious. I mean, that's like, it's kind of like what a manager's job, at least I would assume that's a manager's job. Like, you make sure everything is going well and make sure you're empowering your team. I mean, wow.
So anyway, that's how you quiet quit in a really good way. And then eventually you can get laid off. So don't listen to me. All right. Hey, what's going on? If you enjoyed that, click here for the full unedited episode. And don't forget to hit subscribe.